Welcome to It's Your Move, a weekly podcast where we talk about the ever-changing world of work
Finding satisfaction in what you do.
and laughing through it all as you figure it out. Because wherever you are, it's your move. Hi, Mom.
Hey, Liddy.
Yay.
We made it here to Disney.
Yeah, where are we? Should we tell our peeps where we are?
We are at Pop Century at Walt Disney World. Right. And behind us, we have the Skyliner.
Yep.
And taking lots of happy people between the parks.
Yep. Angelina and I stayed here last night for my birthday.
Very
so
nice. I love this resort because it's considered value, but it's very nice as far as we're concerned.
We don't need much more than this.
Yes.
This is good. And it was super nice being able to come back here because Angelina and I actually met working here a couple of years ago.
Isn't that just incredible that
awesome.
you met here?
Yeah.
How many other people do you think that you met through working here?
Oh my God. Well, we went to the parks yesterday and we saw like so many people that we used to work with and so many people we used to know and love. And it was just so nice to see everybody because it reminded me like this is why I did it. You know, I chased my dream. I found a great community of people and friends. And now that I'm not in that community anymore.
Well, and you are though, because you showed up here.
Yeah.
And now you get to walk around this place with friends
that
you have made through your work. You know, my days of starting out in my career, one of the things I realized was it really wouldn't have even mattered what the job was. It was the people that I was meeting along the way that was what was important about that job. Those are still my friends to this day. And, you know, it's just so important to have that foundation. And that's why working at Disney early in your career is such a good way to meet people, be trained by a company that's very strong, and you know, and learn what you can learn until you're ready for the next thing. So, you know, one of the things that you and I have talked about is, you know, living your dream, and your dream is let's go work at Disney. You know, ours was let's get our kids to Disney. A lot of people have Disney as part of their dream. So when you came to work at Disney, that was your dream, but it was also planted many years ago from us coming here the first time we lived in Florida and having this be our dream place as a family too.
Yeah, and I think that's really what stemmed my want to work here was coming here a lot growing up and all the good times that we had. And I think that's why a lot of people decide to work here too, is they came here growing up and they found it so special. So that was really jump-started my dream job. Now I have a question before we get really into it, which is this whole episode I think is going to be about our dream jobs, pursuing our dreams. This was really my dream, was working here, doing everything. Have you ever pursued a dream job? Have you ever had what you would consider to be your dream job?
My dream job forever has been to be an entrepreneur. And I never really wanted a job anyway. My parents were entrepreneurs and I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Every job, though, that I've had, I would say was my dream job because when I decided that that was the next thing that I needed to do, I turned it into my dream, made it a roadmap, and made it happen. That's how I've been able to change time and time again because I just make a new dream when I'm in certain jobs. So, and the reality is that the jobs are all the things that I should have had as part of, you know, my ongoing roadmap.
But the reason I ask about your dream job is because I think that a lot of people have this idea. I remember when I was in high school, like we got asked at the beginning of our English class, and this was like what the whole theme of the year was what is the American dream? What is your definition of the American dream?
Oh,
everybody
I
had something
that.
different. Yeah. And so now I kind of am posing the same question to you, but talking specifically about a dream job, because I think everybody has this notion of like, oh yeah, I have this dream job that I want to pursue, or like, oh my gosh, that would be my dream. But let's like you and me each define what is a dream job.
Oh, that's just a great one. You know, I think dream and anything after it is about what did I decide to create? What did I say, yes, I want to go after that and I want to get that. What happens when you get there is a whole different thing. But, you know, to have even gotten the job, you had to create it, right? You had to create that desire of a thing that you wanted. So I think more of it is deciding what your dreams are going to be.
Yeah.
And so for me, because I never felt like I was on any path of any
Mm-hmm.
kind, because I just went to work at, in a management training program,
Mm-hmm.
like you guys came to work at Disney.
Yeah.
I always thought there'd be something after that, but I could never quite figure that out.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So would you say that you kind of thought that your dream job was the management training program? Like, let's say when you were in high school or like when you graduated college, like, was entrepreneurship always your dream job still, even
No,
back
I
then?
didn't have a dream job because I didn't know of any jobs other than professions,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is what happens to everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doctor, lawyer, blah, blah, blah. So then once I went pre med and then was like, psychology and how are you going to get a job? It was like, I didn't, no job did I really want to work, because I had worked a lot of jobs already by then. Like
Yeah.
through high school, I worked. So, like, I would say just the word job was like, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, right.
So, but my
Yeah.
dream, the more I built it and then
Mm-hmm.
decided, okay, it's, not pre med, it's going to be this. All right, move toward
Uh-huh.
that. Okay, now that now that. So I
Uh-huh.
think you build your dream work, I would
Mm-hmm.
say, over lots and lots of dream jobs,
Mm-hmm.
lots of things, experiences that you've had.
Yeah.
But the jobs are really only milestones on your roadmap,
Mm-hmm.
So I would
Yeah.
say the answer is I have never had something that I considered my dream job. It
Mm-hmm.
was a job that was there, that used my skills that I had built to that point, that was going to pay me and help me support my family so I could live my dreams.
Right. I talk to a lot of people that they don't have dream jobs. They have dream lives.
Right.
They don't necessarily want, no, I think some people really have that drive to work, but I think a lot of people just, their dream job would be to not have a job at all,
Right.
you know? So I think that it sounds like what you kind of did was you didn't have a dream job. You had a dream salary that would support your
Right.
life more than a dream job, or a dream, not just salary, but like the benefits, the time off, everything
The
like that. The
trade-offs. Right.
trade-offs, right.
I, over the years, would use little note cards and stack rank things. I,
Yeah.
I became kind of into that when I was making my job decisions,
Mhm.
because they are trade-offs. You
Yeah.
could get a very high-paying job that you're traveling all the time and you want to be with your kids, right?
Right.
Or you can get a very high-paying job that's very flexible
Mhm.
and does allow you to be around your kids,
Yeah.
and they're not mutually exclusive, which I think a lot of people think they are,
Yeah.
that like you have to be like working so hard to make a lot of money. No, you're still working, but you're being paid for the value that you're bringing to
Mhm.
an organization.
Right.
And so, that changes as you grow in your career. You are able to then make more money.
Yeah, and I would say the dream changes because,
Right.
like, so backstory about what I think a dream job is and my idea of a dream job and how that's kind of changed in the last few years. I worked for Disney for 7 years. It was so fantastic. It was my dream. When I was in high school, I had this dream to work at Disney. I didn't really care what I did. I just wanted to work at Disney because I thought that job at such a magical place, the most magical place on earth, a place that I've been to so many times and has made me so
And you
happy.
came here for in high school,
Uh huh.
remember?
Yeah.
So many people talk about that experience, and
Yep.
I think that's part of the plan,
Yeah.
is that you get exposure to what it would be like to work here.
Yeah.
You start
Yeah.
thinking about it when you were what, a sophomore or junior in high school?
Yeah. When we
Yeah,
came here on the band trip
on
and
the van trip.
everything. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I saw like a bunch of different perspectives of working at Disney. And so I pursued the dream for 7 years. It was so fantastic. I had the best time. And it was a dream in so many senses of the word. Back in the day, my dream job would be, where can I go that I can have fun all the time at work?
Mm-hmm.
And Disney was such a fun place to work. It really was so awesome. Of course, there were hard days and everything, but it was so fun. And that was always what I wanted for my life, was to be able to have fun with my work. And then as I got older and as I progressed within the company, that my definition of my dream job or my dream work really shifted because I saw that in this dream job of mine, I couldn't necessarily obtain my dream life. And
Right.
that was what was really kind of getting me was, do I have to choose between this job that's so awesome and kind of fit the rest of my life around it?
Right.
Or should I leave this dream job in pursuit of that dream life? Like the things that I really want, like to have kids, to make a lot of money, to be able to travel, to be off at the holidays, have a regular schedule, things like that you don't necessarily you're not thinking about when you're young. When you're in your early 20s, you're like, okay, well, whatever, I'll figure it out. Go do this really fun thing for a little while. And I totally think you should. Like, even if Disney isn't your dream job, having any other kind of dream job, like living in New York or going to Los Angeles, moving to a different country, doing something fun when you're young, I think is great because you don't have responsibilities and you don't necessarily have to start thinking about any of the next chapters because you have this almost free time in your life. Then as you start to get a little bit older and your dreams and goals change, you have to then decide how does the dream job that I've obtained fit into my life?
Yeah.
And am I going to carry this over? So like for me, while it was a super hard decision, I had to make that choice of am I able to fit my other dreams that I have into my dream job, or does it require more? And it was then that I decided that it required more. And that my dream really is to do stuff like this. Spend time with my family, be able to be off at regular times on the weekends that I can spend time with you, be able to be off with my partner at the same time, make more money. Like when we were off at Christmas, that's the thing is like there's some hard sides of these dream jobs that people don't necessarily talk about. Working at Disney, you got to work on the holidays. That's the busy season. You're not going to make a ton of money. But again, if you work hard enough in the company, you can. It just takes a while to get there. So there's trade-offs to every kind of job that you're taking. But I think as your dreams shift, so does your vision of what your dream work
and
looks like.
I think that is the biggest thing. It's like as soon as you accomplish a dream, you realize it's time for a new one because without it, you feel very lost. You don't really know where you're going. And so, not that you're constantly making new dreams, but like having a bigger vision for what you do.
Yeah.
I think is so important.
Well, and let me ask this, which I think this is interesting that you say that. I, on my path in my career, have met a lot of people who don't necessarily think that way. Not that they don't have dreams and aspirations and goals, but I've met a lot of people that once they make a decision, they're like, I'm good for a long, long time. Or like once they've made a change, the change takes so much out of you that it's like, well, I don't want to have to make another change. It's like how I felt this year that I said that I've moved 10 times in the past 10 years. And this year I don't want to move at all. I just want to stay still for a little bit. So, do you think that I know that everybody doesn't share that same mentality of constantly changing and growing, but do you think it's something that's kind of necessary? Like, do you think that people kind of should constantly be searching for change and growth?
I think it depends on how you're wired, which is why I've always been so interested in that, because I don't know if the word, I don't know the right words for it. Sometimes I think maybe like dreamers and doers. I've heard that way of describing it. I think some of us just are more big picture and think about life this way. And then a lot of people don't think about life that way. And that's fine too. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. It's just that I think it's important to identify where we are. And I don't know that people can't change. And I think sometimes with the doers, which is great, you just have to get them to come along with your dream, So it's kind of nice to have somebody that actually does stuff versus just talking about it.
Well, and I think that it's important that I put a caveat here with what I said about people reach a goal and then they're just like fine for a while. I think that is the dream for a lot, of people, to achieve a goal and then kind of coast.
And that's totally fine, right?
There's nothing wrong with that. If that is somebody's dream, then nobody is here to dog anybody else's dreams. But when it comes to the people like us who are kind of always looking for something else, okay, what kind of growth Thank you.
Growth, curiosity.
Yeah, curiosity, right. Like I learned from working at Disney. I didn't want to work at Disney. I wanted to be Walt. And that's kind of how I feel is like, Walt was all about innovation and change and he was constantly looking for the next thing. And I felt like that's how I was at Disney was I was constantly looking for something else and something different. And I was never just going to reach a point where I was satisfied or I could coast along in a career that I was just kind of slowly working my way up. I wanted to be innovative and create change. But I also think that something great about a big company or when you've reached a place in your career, like working at Disney, all the people that I know that continue to work here, something that's great is they really do foster your growth and everything. So that could be a dream for a lot of people, that security.
Right. And that you have people that are concerned about your growth. I mean, you had some really amazing mentors, maybe some not so much, but that's also part of it. I mean, if organizations, if companies could think more like those people, and we had it quite a bit in the training program that there were people on the road just a little bit ahead of us that helped us and brought us along to the next thing. And I have been reflecting on a lot of those people lately, and I think that's the goal. And that's why, like, that job I was in for 15 years and until it all kind of changed. And then I moved to Florida. But, I got 15 years of my career in that structure.
And I think that structure, when you're young especially, it's almost like you feel like you have something to prove, like that you can do it. That like, and I know that our parents, there's a lot of pressure on us to find something super secure and something that provides growth. Like that is the number one question people ask when you're job hunting or you get a new job is like, oh, is there a lot of opportunity for growth and how much do you make and what are the hours like, all those things. Not necessarily are you happy, are you like living this dream, are you really excited about the opportunities that might lie ahead after this career that or this step that you're taking. It's very like they want security for you, which is nice. It all comes from a place of love that they look and are being like, we want you to be secure. But also, we've talked about this in the last couple of weeks, is then when you do something outside the box, it scares them. They're like, well, that can't be good. It can't be secure. So I think that while those processes are good from the outside, sometimes the people like us on the inside are feeling like this itch that they're like, well, now I don't know. It's almost like being in a marriage that you're not happy with. You just are like, well, I've already committed 15 years of my life to this thing.
Right.
And now I don't know how to get out.
Right, right.
So I guess that's my next question, because you did something when we were really little, which I look back on and I'm like, I don't know if I would have had the strength to do that, which was when my brother and I were 6 and 9, around there. My parents just decided to move to Florida, like just because they wanted to. My mom got a job here. It was great. And then we just up and moved. So when you made that choice and everybody was looking at you like, what are you doing? I guess, and I mean, at that time you had responsibilities, you had kids, you had family back home, you had a consistent job that you had been on it 15 years. Talk to me about that choice, because I was very little. I just was like, okay, yeah, we're moving to Florida. Tell me about like how you made that choice.
Well, first of all, the choices are individual. So when you're married, yes, you have to both get on the same page about it, but each person has to make their own choices, or maybe the dreamer has to make their own choices. I don't know what it is, but that was 100% in my head, my plan. Your dad always wanted to live in Florida, and so there were those kinds of things, but just, and not to say to give myself credit, but for clarity on my dreams, I had to, and this is where it gets dicey in the middle of a marriage and kids and all stuff, is like, you have to remember you're still the one that's making your own decisions. It's not, you don't become one person. You are two people making decisions. So you got to decide what you want, not what is going to make the other person happy. So to make that move was a lot of all these things that we're talking about, really sorting that out. The other thing I had was a person that I decided, wow, he got out and he lives in Florida. Let me see how he did that and let me try to do that. And he's been a big source of my inspiration through a lot of different moves that I've made. And so I found a person on the road that was doing it and followed in those footsteps.
I think like it's like a guide. You know, that's what we talk
A
about
guide.
guides. It's like he was your guide for your move to Florida.
He was.
And something that you always say that I think is not funny, but I think back to that move, that this huge leap that you had to take to pursue a dream. And you always say that me working here like changed everything. I am the reason that you guys are here now. But really the reason you guys are here now is because you decided to make that change. Because if we hadn't come to Disney all the time when we lived down here and we were kids, I probably wouldn't have wanted to work here. Right. I probably wouldn't have, like, the area that I live in now. The first thing we did
when we moved here was get our Florida driver's licenses so that we could get our Disney passes. Literally, like, I remember like trying to get out of work my first week because I needed to go get my license and my Disney pass.
I think that that's such a good, for anybody that might watch this and be like, oh, well, it's too late for me. It's like, you had a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old and you decided to go for it. And then same thing with me. It's like, I had kind of a consistent thing going back home and I just decided to go for it. And the power of just going for it.
Not for everybody.
Right.
That's very stressful for many people.
So I wanted to talk about this too, because we talked about it a little bit ago, which is that not everybody is wired for stuff like this. So something I always think about is that I know a lot of people that have work from home jobs and work very normal hours, have good benefits, have been at these companies for a long time, have provided a lot of growth, but it provides a really consistent schedule. It lets them be able to get their work done at home. Is it the most extravagant job? No, but it provides the lifestyle that they're looking for. You know, being able to work from Disney. There's like a whole coalition of people now that work from Disney. There's like a meetup at St. Pete Beach that people work from the beach. So I also think that this idea of like a dream job is changing, because it's like, okay, is your dream job a job that you have to just like type in Excel spreadsheets, but you're able to work from anywhere in the world? Right. You can travel on any day and then just like work from that location. And kind of like what we're doing here, you know, it's we're able to take our work with us. And I think more and more that's becoming the dream. I really noticed it post-COVID was kind of the biggest time that I saw this in people, was everybody worked from home and they realized, if I could be spending all this time with my kids, saving all this money on daycare, and get my job done all at the same time, then what's the point of being in the office? Right. So, and now I just see so many people that are searching for those work from home jobs. So, and I think, you know, we've talked a little about the pros and cons of work from home, but I think that in terms of dream jobs, you know, that is changing. I mean, just as we speak, which is part of why we're doing this, is helping each other along this changing landscape of jobs. Like, you know, what do you do and how do we help each other get through it? Okay. Audience questions. So our first question that we are addressing today is, when can you tell that it's time to let go of a dream versus fight harder for it? And I think this is a really good question. And when I left Disney, aka my dream job last year, this was really a question that I grappled with, of like, when do I decide that I have given this dream up, that I had pursued this dream for as long as I could remember, and this dream was over? And should I continue to fight harder, or is it time to give it up? And I don't even want to put it in terms of giving up, because I don't think that by leaving working at Disney, I gave this dream up. I think that for me, the way that I viewed it was, I had pursued the dream and then the dream had shifted. And so I pursued something else. It was not that I had failed by not working my way up or being an Imagineer or something. It was just that my idea of my dream life had changed and shifted. And also, if you remember, as we've talked about, when I applied to work at Disney the first time, I didn't get in, and then I had to try again. And I remember that was a kind of pivotal moment too, for deciding, should I continue to chase this dream or should I give it up? And I remember not getting in that first time. And as sad as I was, I just remember thinking that everything is happening for a reason. So I never see, when I'm pursuing a dream, I never, ever give it up. I really never lose hope. It just shifts in my brain of a different way that it's going to look. So I'm never like, nope, that's not my dream anymore. I'm going to do something else. I just think, oh, okay, I didn't get it this time. However, I can pursue other things that I'm really passionate about in the meantime, and then I can try again in a few years. Right. And if I don't get in then, look at this other dream that I have. This would be really cool too. So it's more diversifying the dreams rather than
Right.
like
Casting the
you know,
widest net.
casting the widest net. Like, don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Have a lot of different egg dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Put them all into different baskets, and then when one is maybe not working out the way that you had planned, chase this one.
Anyway.
So that's my perspective on all of it. Is that when you say give up on a dream, it's just how can you take this dream and like your dreams just have to be malleable.
Right.
That is what I will say is that they just have to be able
and I
to be
think
shifted.
in your own head is
Right.
the story. Like,
Right.
I remember, going to Cleveland after we lived in Florida, and I said, I'm not saying I'm going back to Cleveland. Like, we failed in Florida. Now it's the time for us to be in Cleveland. And so that is where it is a constant, it's like a communication strategy with yourself. It's like you have to keep where you're going in front of you at all times. You have to keep remembering what you're going for. And that's what's so hard because, moving in any direction, you're letting other things go. And sometimes you're like, oh, I must be going the wrong way. Well, no, you're going toward that destination, that vision that you're going for. But sometimes you just kind of lose your way. And you have to keep being able to tell yourself why you're on the road in the first place, why you wanted to pursue this next thing that you're pursuing.
Yep.
And I do think, when we say dream, we act like it's one thing that, you have forever. No, they're all dreams, and it's just the pursuit of them is what makes all of this fun,
Yep. I have a kind of follow-up question to that / question from the audience. What would you say to somebody who says that they don't have a dream?
I mean, I do think they probably do, but they, if they don't want to,
I have an interesting.
I don't know. Anyway,
about this. Okay, so I was going to say, I think that when you guys were talking about how you made these really hard decisions to do these drastic changes and changing your dream, it wasn't a solo journey, right? Like you guys were at least having conversations with people about taking that next step to then decide by yourself. And yes, it was a very independent decision, but like you said, you have a support system that's coming with you too. It gives you confidence to move forward. So I find that a lot of people that maybe don't have a support system, they're the ones who haven't really figured out exactly what the next step is because they don't know if they can lean on someone or maybe it wasn't brought up that way. So
yeah.
like, how might you suggest that someone would combat that? You know what I mean? Like maybe give them the confidence to take that step to reach out to someone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think, that's part of what we're doing, why we're doing what we're doing. Part of this is, kind of who's on the road with you and who might it be worth just to have a conversation, something that looks kind of interesting that they're doing.
Yep.
That you might be able to learn
Right.
from. So it doesn't like you, it's not like you have to have, I mean, I think dreaming, probably 301 is that, you're doing what you and I are doing, right? But this has happened with little dreams along the way. So, but most of those have manifested by talking with other people and watching other people and learning from other people. So, and I think that's the biggest thing to do is to try to figure out, okay, well, who is on the road with you that might be able to help you sort it out?
Or who has a dream life that you see that you're like, oh, like I remember I was talking to this girl who worked with me at Disney and she was like, I have no real passion like for working. I do not. And I said, okay, well, who has a life that you look at that you're like, I would love to live that kind of life? And she was like, well, I have a friend who's a stay-at-home mom and she like also sells things on her Etsy shop. I was like, okay, that can be a dream. Like there's nothing wrong with wanting to be a stay-at-home mom or wanting to, pursue a creative business like your side hustle. Those things are fine. I do think that that kind of traditional dynamic is not as common anymore and it's so much harder to have a one income household. So when you say you don't want to work and you want to be a stay-at-home mom, if it pans out that way for you, great. But other than going on dating apps and stuff like that, it's hard to necessarily pursue that. So what I would say is pursue whatever way that you feel creative, pursue that and it'll lead you to something that you are interested in. Even if it's selling t-shirts on Etsy or But, and nothing is bad. It's just, even if it's something that you are like, oh no, this is just so frivolous. When Angelina makes our cover-ups for the beach, it's like she sees that as a hobby. That's something that she could pursue and sell, and that could be something that could drive her passion
if she wants
also.
to. But either way, the act of doing something creative gets you thinking about things differently too. Yeah. So I think that's going to be a big part of our conversation, and to continue the conversation about what it really does take to be creative, because I think that is what's getting in the way for all of us, because we have not been taught how to dream and how to think this way. We've been taught linear thinking, black and white, hierarchy, command and control, all of that. And so it's hard for us to tap into what do we actually really, and that's where doing things that just bring you joy is always a great place to start.
Last question from the audience. We've talked so much about dream jobs and living our dream life. People want to know what action you are taking this week individually, each of you guys, or maybe you're doing it together, to take one step closer to your dream life / dream job. Okay.
So what is one action we're taking this week to move closer to our dream jobs? Well, I think we're taking it right now.
We are. We showed up today on a Sunday, by the way, not a work day necessarily.
Yep.
To talk in front of people.
To do this, because we believe in our dream enough that we're showing up to do something.
Yep.
I have had a lot of questions about what we're up to, and it's not easy to explain. So we just have to have each other and doing it.
Sometimes it reveals itself later.
Right.
Well, and I think that is, for me, doing stuff like this, when we're recording on the beach in front of other people, when we're putting things out online, when we're meeting to talk on Mondays, when I'm really tired after work, like those steps that we are taking each week, it's not just is it like helping us continue to build and taking small baby steps forward, it's pushing me outside of my comfort zone. That it's like all these things that it's like, when people are walking past us being like, what are they doing? Or people, I know people from high school can see what I'm posting on Instagram or whatever. To me, it's like, it's worth it because I'm living my dream. And if people are looking at me living my dream thinking that I'm being ridiculous, well, that's their problem.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm here slowly building it. So anyway, well, with that, should we wrap it up since I'm a million degrees?
Yeah, this week we got a big week coming up of living our dream and creating
and moving forward,
having positive thoughts about the week ahead, and keep moving forward.
Keep moving forward, people, as Walt Disney once said.
Dream it, you can do it.
Exactly.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you guys.
Love you. Bye.
Audience loves you.
Wow, what a great podcast. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Join us next week. We're going to talk more about the ever-changing world of work, because wherever you are, it's your move.